Good evening and welcome to the APISD regular school board meeting. Today is August 11th, 2025. The time now is 7:01 p.m. and with we do have a quorum with 6 of our 7 members. At this time, we will be led in our pledges of allegiance by Mrs. Hill and invocation by Mr. Rector, if you'd like to join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Let us pray. My Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day you have allowed us to enjoy. We thank you for your loving kindness and your tender mercy. We pray for our staff and our students as we begin our 2025-2026 school year. We pray you will protect them and keep them forever close to you. We will continue to put our trust in you, knowing you will never leave us or forsake us. Now we ask your blessings upon this meeting. And for all these things we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Thank you, Mr. Rector. We're now at the portion of our meeting for public testimony. Has anyone expressed an interest or signed up? Okay. If not, then we will move on with our agenda. This evening, we do have a presentation by our district financial advisor. Board members, you should have tonight's presentation before you. And our presentation is being made tonight by Mr. Dusty Traylor with RBC Capital Markets. Good evening, Mr. Traylor.
Good evening, Ms. Butler. Again, Dusty Traylor with RBC Capital Markets. We have the honor and privilege of representing Aransas Pass ISD as financial advisor. The presentation before you, I think for many of you may look very, very familiar. It is similar to what we did this time last year in discussion of the district's outstanding bonds, et cetera. So if you'll turn with me inside the cover page to the page that looks like this, page number 1. What you see on page number 1 is just a profile of the district's outstanding bonds. And currently the district has one voted bond outstanding, the unlimited tax school building bond series 2016. Those bonds are currently outstanding in the amount of $10,975,000. And one thing I want to point out is we are in the process of working with the district to early retire or early pay a portion of those bonds. We're going to early pay, I believe it's right around an additional $950,000 of those bonds here within the next couple of weeks. We're going to be able to do that. So you guys have been making very nice strides on these 2016 bonds, actually paying a little bit more each year than what is required under the payment schedule. That saves district taxpayers millions of dollars, or over $1 million. I looked today at what we have saved over the course of the past 3 or 4 years by y'all's management of these bonds, and you will have saved over $1.3 million of interest costs by early paying these bonds. So congratulations on that. Below on that page is another set of obligations. These types of obligations, the QZAB Series 2013 and the Limited Maintenance Tax Note of 2024, those are obligations that are paid for from the district's M&O side. And you guys have 2 of those outstanding currently in the principal amount of $1,585,000. And as you know, we did one of those, the 24s, last year. I think it's important to point out the district's tax base and tax rate over the course of the past several years. That district's tax base has been increasing as property values have gone up at a rate of about 7.45% on an annual basis. Additionally, the district's tax rate has fallen over the course of the past 10 years If we go back to 2015, the district's total tax rate was $1.43 and some change. And this most recent year, the tax rate was just under 81 cents, 80.88 cents. And that's in combination both the M&O and the INS rate. Last year, the district's M&O rate was 66.69 cents, and the INS rate was 14.19 cents. I think, as you guys know, districts pay there are two components of a district's tax rate, right? As a citizen, we just see one rate, the total rate. As a citizen on our bill, we're going to see 80.88 cents is the total rate. But again, that rate is broken down into two parts. The M&O, that's the portion of the tax rate utilized to pay teachers' salaries, turn the lights on, put fuel in buses, et cetera. And then the INS, which is that 0.1419 you had last year, that's the portion that is solely dedicated for the repayment of those 2016 bonds. It can only be used for debt service on bonds. Now, I guess one of the things that I believe you guys have been talking about, the potential for a voter-approved tax ratification election. We have worked closely with staff to discuss a voter. I think as you guys know, state funding levels have really not been adequate over the past several years. The state has not provided enough additional funding to school districts to maintain adequate schools on that M&O side of the budget. A voter election allows you to do that. It allows you to go to your voters and ask the voters for additional funding on your M&O side of the budget, to increase the M&O side of the budget and to get additional funding that hopefully goes into the classroom. That is what a voter does. An M&O tax rate from the state level, the state looks at our M&O tax rates kind of from two different sources of that. They actually match our M&O tax rates with some state funding. They look at Tier 1 being from the state funding perspective, just their very basic funding allotment. Represents the covers the core cost of schools. Then we get into Tier 2 state funding, and I'm on page 4 of this handout, by the way. Then we get into Tier 2 state funding, and in Tier 2, there are golden pennies and there are copper pennies. Under the golden pennies, the first 8 pennies of the Tier 2 funding are not subject to recapture, meaning those first 8 pennies don't send additional money back to the state. You actually get to keep your additional monies from those golden pennies. However, there's only 8 of them. The first 5 of those 8 golden pennies can be accessed without an election. The final 3 pennies require a voter election. And then there are copper pennies. Districts can access up to a total of 9 copper pennies above the golden pennies. However, revenue generated from copper pennies is subject to recapture, meaning revenue coming from those copper pennies, you got to send a portion of that back to Austin if you're a property wealthy district. How does this apply to Aransas Pass ISD? We believe that previously Aransas Pass has accessed 5 of the 8 golden pennies. And in order to access the remaining 3 golden pennies or any copper pennies, APISD would need to have a voter election. And given what we know about the district's INS taxes and how you guys have been managing your bonds and the way that the tax base has been increasing, we believe that the district can actually have a voter election and increase the M&O side up to the 3 pennies, but bring the INS rate down by a corresponding 3 pennies, so you could access 3 pennies of additional funding on the M&O side without having a nominal total tax rate increase, being able to keep that tax rate at or below that 80.88 cents because of the way you guys have been managing things on the INS side. And you'll see on the spreadsheet that I did below, or did on page number 5, we just kind of laid out here estimated tax rate needs on the INS side. So what you have here in column D, that's the outstanding debt service on those 2016 bonds. We also calculate that you get some additional monies here from frozen levy, as well as additional state aid for homestead exemption. And even bringing the INS rate down from 14.19 to 11.19, we calculate that you could still move forward with additional defeasances next year. You guys have been defeasing and paying bonds off early each year. This year we're looking at a little over $900,000 before the end of the fiscal year. We think even if you brought that INS rate down, you'd still be able to defease some bonds, a little over $400,000. Okay. And then one of the things that we have talked with staff about, we know that you guys did a maintenance tax note last year. It sounds like there may be a need for additional maintenance tax notes this year for various projects here within the district. We've talked about what a maintenance tax note is before, but just as a refresher, a maintenance tax note is a debt obligation that a district pays for out of the M&O side of its budget. You don't pay for it out of the INS portion of the budget. A maintenance tax note can be used, proceeds of a maintenance tax note can be used for things like renovation, HVAC repair, some technology improvements, things like that. What maintenance tax notes cannot be used for is brand new construction, something where you're going to construct a brand new building, things like that. You can't do a maintenance tax note with that. But many other projects you're able to do a maintenance tax note with. So on page number 7, we just took a look at what a little over $2.5 million maintenance tax note would provide for the district, or what the debt service would look like for the district. Currently, y'all's maintenance tax note debt service in the coming year would be about $200,000 from your older maintenance obligations. And we believe that if we were to issue another $2.55 million, that annual debt service payment would go up to about $520,000. I can probably smooth that out to where it gets more in line with just straight up $500,000 or $505,000 by the time it's all said and done. This assumes that the new maintenance tax notes have a final maturity of not more than 10 years. You could go as far as 20. You could go 20 years on things that are maintenance items. You're paying interest on things for a longer period of time, et cetera. So we kept it to 10 as it relates to this analysis, but can look at whatever you guys would want us to as you look to move forward.
May I ask a question here?
Yes,
while
ma'am.
you're at this table?
Yes, Ms. Bell.
And so this amortization does not include future defeasance payments? Because we could select how much more we want to do above, so
We have done that on page number 5.
that was on 5.
On
Okay.
5, we have looked at future additional defeasance payments for the coming year on page number 5 in column F. This is where we talked about even with a Vader, we could do just in the coming year. We just did it for 1 year here, but we could continue it out for a number of years. Just in this first year, we could do a little over $400,000, between $400,000 and $450,000 of additional defeasances in the coming year. And more than likely, as your tax base continues to grow, I think that defeasance number would continue to grow, and you'd get more and more of those Series 2016 bonds paid for.
Okay.
Or an enhancement of, if you needed it, if you guys decided eventually that you were going to do a voted bond, to be able to have capacity for a voted bond as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Is it possible to get the schedule on page 6, that impact analysis, with the scenario to extend defeasance payments, let's say at a minimum of $250,000, just to give us a kind of a glance of what it would look like for us, the impact of this schedule?
If we were going to take page 6 and go out 3 or 4 more years, you think?
Just, yes.
Yeah, you bet. Of
Okay.
course we can. Of course we can. You bet. And I think by that time, what we're going to see is that we will have knocked off a couple more years. We've already knocked off 1 year. Actually, by the time we get done with the defeasance we're doing in a couple of weeks, we'll have knocked off the final 2 years of that bond, of that 2016 bond. So 3 or 4 more years, we're going to knock off another year or so. You bet.
Trustees, any thoughts, questions? Staff?
Any direction as y'all, in terms of the maintenance tax note, the maintenance tax note analysis we ran at the end? Anything that y'all want us to consider on that in terms of timing or amount or anything like that, or just wait and get some feedback in the coming weeks? When the Vader election passes, then we'll come back and think about that. Certainly, that makes sense. All right. You good? All right.
Thank you again.
Good to see y'all. Appreciate you.
We will be discussing more of what Mr. Trailer went over for us on this agenda and in the coming weeks. But at this time, we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you so much. You too. We'll now move into our superintendent's report. Mr. Bennett.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Tonight, we are bringing information items, some handbooks. We have the student handbook, the employee handbook, and we have a Res Pass ISD maintenance and custodial handbook to bring to you. Again, these are information based on the laws, legislation come out. TASB sends us editable issuance of these, and we put in our information, staff, dates, things like that. But for the most part, they come to us from TASB with wording that fits new legislation. So this is what we have to present tonight. If you have any questions on any of them.
Trustees? Anyone have any questions or areas that you need at this time for staff to go over these informational items of the student handbook, employee handbook, and the new maintenance and custodial handbook? The other informational item that we have before you is the calendar of upcoming events. Anything further to add, Mr. Bennett?
No, ma'am, if you see those, school starts Wednesday. I do believe there's maybe a volleyball game Tuesday night that may not be on here, but that's against Rockport, yeah.
Rockport, okay.
It's at home, so it'd be Tuesday night.
Okay.
Other than that, we have a first scrimmage, and then tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? Okay. Okay, if there's nothing on the handbooks or the schedule, Mr. Bennett, you have a reminder for us?
On,
Our next item is the special meeting, the upcoming special meeting.
oh, yeah, yes, we are, a reminder that we will be having a special meeting on the 18th at 7 p.m. to adopt a budget and tax rate, and then talk about the Vader election.
And for our viewing and listening audience, this is your opportunity to participate in this process, to attend or to make comments. We will have a public hearing as well. Okay. Thank you for those updates, Mr. Bennett. Next item on the agenda is our financial reports. These are informational items before you, trustees. The financial reports from the month of July, accounts payable, budget status, and the tax collection summary. We've touched upon some of this already in the preceding roundtable and budget workshop that was held before our regular meeting began. Trustees, do you have any questions at this time, or do you need Ms. Chapa to go over any of these reports? If not, we will continue on with the budget, with the agenda. Next item is board updates and topics for future meetings. Does anyone wish to request something for a future meeting? And we have no other board updates at this time. We have a lot that you'll see on the remaining of the agenda regarding gearing up for the new school year and various policies and so forth that we'll have discussion here in a few moments. If there are no requests at this time, trustees, then we will move into our consent agenda. This is the portion of our agenda for regular and recurring items that we can act upon collectively. In the consent agenda for tonight, we have the regular board meetings from the July 14th, 2025 board meeting. We have the minutes from the special meeting and workshop from June 26th of 2025. And then we have our annual student code of conduct for the school year 2025-2026. I'll note that the code of conduct, correct, Mr. Bennett, the code of conduct does include the recent state requirements that came out of the 89th legislative session.
Right,
Okay.
that's what they do. They'll make the changes, send those to us, and then we add just a few of our personal things, but it's mainly just follows up on the new legislation that had passed, like say the ISS now, they don't have not a limit. You can put them in there, use ISS for as many days as you need to, with some reviews after 10 days and things like that.
And trustees, it also includes the one of the items that you've seen, I'm sure even our viewing audience have seen a lot on, the state's restriction on personal communication devices. That's already incorporated, so it's up to date.
Yes, ma'am.
As part of the consent agenda process, trustees, does anyone want to pull any items? I believe I also want to note the format of our minutes from our meetings. You'll notice it's a little bit different, and it will reflect, again, state requirement that when we take action and we vote on an item, that it will record not just that whether it passed or failed, but it will itemize by trustee our individual votes. Okay. Well, if there's not any consent agenda items to be pulled, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Mullenix. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stansberry. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. All right then, so moving from our consent agenda, we are now into our action item portion of our agenda, action items. First item is consider and approve district-initiated proposed policy update to FD local and FM local. Mr. Bennett will take us through. We had this before, previous discussion, and staff has added the UIL FAQ.
Right, these two, we brought both of these for a first read, and there were some questions at the last board meeting in regards to FM local and FD local. Those are in your packet once again. Of course, FM for eligibility of a private school student, including homeschool student, to participate in extracurricular activities. So that's FM, and then FD local has a few more provisions, but it does have a student enrolled in private school, including homeschool, shall not be eligible for concurrent enrollment in district, nor for participating in curricular or extracurricular activities, except as required by law. So, and then there were some questions, so we added the FAQ from UIL that I think answered just about everybody's question that we had previously. We bring those to you tonight for your consideration on the direction you would like to take.
Trustees, are there questions on either version of this local policy? Just as a reminder, if the board does not act, by default, the state default is that students not enrolled in APISD will be allowed by default to participate in extracurricular activities. So again, FM local is to allow as a local policy by board adoption. FD is that would not be allowed by board adoption of local policy at this time. And I believe these drafts are the same as what you have received last month as well.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
last month I was kind of vocal on questioning whether to do or not to do. And I've done some study into this. And I'm assuming that you're looking for a motion either way.
Well, we had so many questions also. We will, yes, sir, we will need a motion either way. And, but we had so many questions last time, and staff has provided some information to help us in response to those questions, and that led to us tabling the item last month, and so.
With that said, I would like to make a motion that we go with the default and allow students not enrolled in the public school to participate in UIL events. In other words, FM local.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Stansberry to allow homeschool students, non-enrolled students in APISD to participate in APISD's extracurricular activities. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion?
I just have a question, because I haven't been here, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts were when you said you did a little bit more research, and that's what brought you to that decision.
Well, got to thinking of the pros and cons of letting them, not letting them, whatever. Then I got to thinking about what our job is. Our job is to enhance or enrich young minds and the kids, not necessarily a public school or private school, whatever. And I think that all kids deserve a chance. And whether they're homeschooled or not, if they want to, go to a spelling bee, something like that, then they should be allowed to. They still have to represent Aransas Pass and follow whatever guidelines that we have. But I think all kids deserve a chance, whether they're in our buildings or outside of our buildings.
And my thought for the counterpart of that was the fact that we get no funding for those kids as far as their eligibility for sports, so we're paying for the equipment and everything else, and the coaches and everything to allow them to participate, but we're not getting any funding, extra funding from the state to pay per student for that, so they're just using our facilities and all of everything else free.
I think if you can please provide some clarification, was the state allowing a fixed flat amount for public ISDs to offset cost of increased number of participants?
It was $1,500 per student per activity if for homeschool or private school students allowed to participate. I do believe if you read in the UIL, it does allow some leeway to districts. They say what is in the UIL FAQ, it's answering questions based on UIL. If you're talking about spelling bees, choir, non-UIL activities, you could still allow that. But this is allowing them to participate in extracurricular like UIL activities.
But doesn't UIL also have like number sense or?
If it was a
debate,
yes, sir. If it was UIL academic performance, then it would be governed by this. Yes,
one act play and that kind of stuff.
yes. All things UIL. When you read through there, it would say somebody would ask a question like that when they say this is not governed by UIL, but we go on and explain it.
Plus, I think in Aransas Pass, we're looking at a small percentage anyway. I mean,
It
2 or
won't
3
be a lot
kids.
of homeschool. My thoughts about the practice, because we usually have fourth period athletic. I think it's what it used to be. They have that a fifth period, so that's during the school day. So are they actually going to come on campus during that time to actually practice with the team on campus and stuff? And how is that going to affect
I know the FAQ said that we could require it, that you could hold them to the same standards as the rest of your student athletic population, but that would be a local decision for if we implement that or not. So I was really curious because for me, I agree. I feel like kids should be able to participate, but I also have some reservations and concerns from just liability perspectives, the flow of these kids and parents, and just it could get messy, I think. I mean, I agree. We don't have a lot of, it's not like we're one of those districts where we're going to see 200 homeschool kids come flood our athletic programs or anything, but I feel like sometimes the state gives us these things and they forget little caveats that even we as a board overlook because we don't get into the weeds of handling these kids and processing them through and getting them involved. So that's my only reservation, is that I don't think I know enough about how that would work to wholeheartedly say 100% let's do this at this time from my personal seat. But I would think it would be something we could consider in the future, but it would need to be laid out well. I just feel like there's something there. It just sounds too easy. It just sounds too easy to me.
I think we need, after working for the school for so long, for so many years, and we're here for the students. That's my priority, the students, in school or at home. If they're going to be homeschooled, there's got to be a reason why. And we got to ask the parent why. Work with students and parents, because there are some students that deserve the chance to be given and be acknowledged if they're doing a good job, So it'll be the student to be aware of what his responsibility is, the parent's responsibility. You will bring the child. You need to make sure as a parent they will be there at practice. Whatever is going on, they have to participate, and that's the parent's responsibility. bring them, pick them up, make sure, give them the chance, give them the option. If they don't abide, then there's consequence. That's my point of view.
Mr. Bennett, over the last few years, how many students have we had homebound like that?
I mean, the number it varies. I mean, they leave for various reasons, so I don't know if I have an exact number. We've
Yeah,
asked
just
about,
a rough estimate.
I really,
Okay, well,
it's something I would have to look and ask. I know we've asked some of our principals about, and I asked Coach Davis and our principals today, and they've had maybe a person here, a person there, even ask
Okay.
about this, so.
I think that's fair. I'm not 100% no or 100% yes. I'm not going to tell you guys any jokes on that one. I do know we have several homeschooled students that participate in our Little League programs that I've seen, personally. So I know they're out there, and I know they're participating. I know they exist, and we want to be inclusive. I just genuinely do think that there are more questions that should be answered, just to ensure that we're doing the right thing to protect ourselves, because at the end of the day, the kids who are enrolled here are our top priority.
It just to be, from what we understand, some of the area schools may not be going this route. And a student, if a school district is allowing, they are allowed to go to the school geographically closest to their home. So that could be a kid coming over here from, GP, from Corpus even, technically, I guess, if they didn't have another one, or any area school that didn't allow it, they'd be allowed to come participate. And that opens up a few more doors, but just so we're clear on that.
Do you have any reservations from an administrative side?
I mean, it like you said, there's no telling what could come out of it as far as saying eligibility, if we have to rely on the parents to provide us with that. If it were to come out later, team goes to playoffs or have you, and that information may not have been as forthcoming and truthful as it had been, would it cost the whole team? I don't know if we really know what all could come out of it. I'm sure we all have some reservations about it, because these are, our kids that are coming to the school district. I mean, yeah, you could have a whole list probably.
That was another concern. I did see that the parents would still be responsible for that testing aspect to determine eligibility. And I know that it said there was some stipulations again that the district could set, but that's outside of our control. You're not picking the curriculum those kids are doing at home. I've seen some, not necessarily here, but I've seen some homeschool curriculums that are not really curriculums and things of that nature. So I do worry if it's even a fair playing field when we've got kids in the classroom busting their butts to get out there on that court or on the field, and they're not being compared the same. It's almost a disadvantage, because it could lead to people saying, I'm just going to homeschool Johnny so he doesn't have to do all of that in classroom stuff, and I can give him a basic test and he still can be the star of your football team. There's so many, not to say that would happen, but there's just so many different ways that it could go. It's so unregulated that, I don't know. It just doesn't have a strong enough foundation for me to support it at this time. If we get some clarity, sure, but at this time, I think it's a no for me.
So when we talk about eligibility, from a UIL perspective in their FAQ, it does say that homeschool students will be required to follow the same rules and procedures as any other student and will be required to complete the previous athletic participation form, or PAP. and will be subject to eligibility rules, including the 15-day rule, if applicable. If the student moved into the attendance zone within the previous 12 years or participating in a school outside of the attendance zone of where the parents and student reside. They continue on with stipulations. The DEC should review that form, and upon request of a DEC member, a full hearing of the DEC may be required for varsity participation.
That's
This
a
FAQ
standard.
talks about high school and junior high in particular. It doesn't really talk about maybe some of the more scholastic type of activities for our elementaries, but
That what you're reading is pretty much a standard for students moving from district to district. When they came in, if there's a question, they had to fill out that previous participation form, and it goes to the DEIC to make a decision on it.
Well, this is talking about UIL activities, it ain't talking about any other activities in the school. It's only about UIL activities.
and UIL does not render a decision regarding who administers the standardized test to determine eligibility. Per 6 weeks, we have a grading system, progress reports, report cards, and et cetera, but that specifically was a question in their FAQ that UIL did not render a decision. Gives some guidance on the Texas Education Code, though. I mean, refers back to the Texas Education Code. And it just reiterates that the person or parent that is providing that for the non-enrolled student, the parent or person is responsible for oversight of their academic standards relating to the student's participation. And it says the first 6 weeks of the school year, a non-enrolled student must demonstrate grade level academic proficiency on any nationally recognized norm referenced assessment instrument. And it gives some examples. And it continues on, for the purposes of this section, a school district shall accept assessment results administered or reported by a third party. A non-enrolled student's demonstration of academic proficiency under references subsection F is sufficient for purposes of that subsection for the school year in which the student achieves the required score and the subsequent school year. So we are really not it doesn't sound like we're really in a position to drive or determine the assessment. It is the responsibility of the parent or whomever is standing in that parent role for the homeschool student, but they're still required to have some sort of recognized assessment made. As school is, for us, is starting this week, I think it's upon the board to give some direction to staff tonight as to, and we do have a motion that has been seconded on the floor. This is in the further discussion portion. Is there any other discussion or concerns or questions?
One of them approves it, one of them disapproves it, right? It's all going to vote on, so we have to make a motion which one we want to do, or what?
So the motion has already been made by Mr. Stansberry and seconded by Mr. Rector to approve the local policy version that allows homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities at APISD.
UIL activities.
Thank you. Thank you.
The UIL activities, yes. If you, and that particular, that's the FM local. So the local policy, let me just draw your attention to that real quickly here. That local policy that would allow is for eligibility of a private school student, including homeschool student, to participate. So our local policy doesn't limit it to just homeschool, it says private school as well.
My question is the fact that the way, the way that the motion is kind of written there, that you either have to approve, there's two different policies. One allows them and one does not allow them. The FD does not allow them.
Right.
So we approve, so we make a motion, when we make a motion, we need to state which policy we're going to approve.
Yes, I believe Mr. Stansbury
Just
did
more
say
clarification.
He said FM local.
Okay,
Yes, sir, he did.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're correct, though. We do have to specify which one since we have two versions for consideration. And we could approve either one. But the motion that was second was to approve FM local that would allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities at Aransas Pass ISD. Any other or further thoughts or questions, trustees? If not, all in favor for the approval of FM local to allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities at APISD, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
For the record, we have, is that two nays, Ms. Hill and Mr. Molinax? So the motion carries. Certainly, with the concerns that were in discussion that we had tonight, the board does have the discretion to revisit this if we obtain additional guidance from UIL or from the state or TEA or what have you. But for the time being, we will move forward with our 2025-26 school year to allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities at APISD.
Ms. Butler,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
it's only fair to state that if we did nothing, then they would be able to participate.
Correct. Mr. Stansbury is reiterating that if we did not act tonight, that the state, well, not necessarily tonight, but if we didn't do so by September 1,
Right.
so by September 1, any school district in the state of Texas who has not rendered a board-approved policy that says one way or the other, yes, they're allowed to participate, or no, they're not allowed, the state of Texas default is yes to allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities.
But the second part of my statement would
Yes, sir?
every year we have to decide. Next year it's got to be by August 1st.
Correct.
One thing to consider by allowing them this year, kind of get an idea how it's going to work. We don't like it, August 1st next year, we can stop it. I mean, but if we did nothing, it was going to happen.
If we did, correct, if we did nothing, it was going to happen by
Just
September
a couple
1.
of points I wanted to make for the board. If we did nothing, it would happen, but we can always change it by August 1st next year. for the following school year.
We can change it any time, but on an annual basis for this. So the first year of the state implementing this regulation, we had a deadline of September 1. Moving forward, subsequent years, our deadline will be August.
Right.
So we will need to, that'll be added to our board activity calendar. But certainly if we, like I said, if there's some reason that we need to come back and revisit this, then the board can do so mid-year if necessary. But we're launching the new school year with allowing it by local policy FM. Had we not done anything, or if we couldn't arrive at a decision, Mr. Stansbury is correct. Come September 1, it would be required by the state because that's their default to allow. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Looks like we're now ready to move on. Okay. All right, our next action item on our agenda is consider and approve district-initiated update on local policy FNCE, which is student conduct, personal communication devices, electronic devices. Mr. Bennett.
Right, this is the local policy that supports the new law 1481 about personal communication devices being allowed in our schools. And this is the policy as written: shall not use a personal communication device on school property during school day. While on school property, the student shall store any personal communication device in accordance with administrative regulations, which we've set our administrative regulations based on the wording of this policy that we're bringing to you tonight. And this is from TASB, from our policy person that we deal with. And this is a recommendation from them that would put in place FNCE local. It has the exceptions. Of course, if it's in some kind of a accommodations plan or part of a safety protocol, and you can make certain adjustments in your regulations that fall. And then it says annually we'll bring back a report. Is yet to be determined what that might look like, but we'll bring back a report, I guess, about the implementation or how it's working, the policy.
Trustees, upon your review, are there any questions? Again, this local policy is coming because of state requirements, effective for first day of school.
Really, the only they gave you an option to say whether you would or would not destroy the devices, because you have the option after you give a written notice to the parents that after 90 days you could destroy them. And the one question, we said no, we would not be destroying the property. Other than that, this is a policy submitted to us.
So we don't have many options on this one. This is something that across the state of Texas, all public ISDs have to implement. And so we now will have our local policy that will formally document our compliance with the state requirement. So at this time, do we have, if there's no changes or suggestions for changes, do we have a motion to approve the district initiative update to local policy FNCE, student conduct, personal communication devices and electronic devices as presented in accordance with House Bill 1481.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Mullinax. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Next item, consider and approve district-initiated update to local policy EFB, instructional resources, library materials. This is a new one, folks, also out of the legislative session. Mr. Bennett.
Yes, let me see if I can see. Okay, this is another option of two policies that they presented to us to help us. You have to make library materials available for parental review, and they can go in there and they can not only see what's in your library, but if they have specific books or titles or genres that they do not want their student to check out, they can let you know in your via a whatever system you put in place, and then the librarian would have that. They would know what to and what not to allow that student to check out. The big difference between these two policies, EFB Alt and EFB with the SLAC, is in the EFB Alt, there is no advisory council, and with the SLAC, there is a school library advisory council, and it just adds another level. You think of the SLAC the same terms as a SHAC, where they review, they recommend, and they make the recommendations to the board. They look at the materials and decide what should be, what should not be, with recommendation. We have in place a online catalog system called Destiny that Mrs. Hayes oversees. We have all of our books already in their catalog. They check them out with a barcode, and she has let me know that our digital library catalog system would allow us to do all the things that the policy would require, the law requires, without the advisory council. That's pretty much the big. It meets the requirements stipulated in Senate Bill 13. She has some things in place already that could fit all the requirements that are there without trying to formulate another parent-led council like we have with SHAC.
Trustees, before you have two versions of this local EFB policy. EFB local alt would be without the advisory council, and EFB L-SLAC, which is the acronym for the advisory council, so of course it would be included there. So we have two options before us. So when we get to the point of someone is wanting to make a motion tonight, please specify which version. Again, alt is with the first document is staff recommendation based on being able to comply with the requirements, state requirements, in the resources and staffing that we have. And the second, with SLAC in the file name, would include that advisory council. Any questions for staff on either version? What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion we adopt local policy EFB Alt as recommended by administration.
Motion by Mr. Mullinax for adoption of EFB local that would not include the advisory council.
Okay.
Second by Mr. Stansberry. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion of the local policy version without an advisory committee, or council rather, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Next item is consider and adopt TASB-initiated policy update 125 local policies. And there's several here. We have reviewed and discussed these in the past. Tonight they're before us as an action item. Let me just read these out for transparency. BDAA local officers and officials, duties and requirements of board officers. BDB local board internal organization board committees. BDF local board internal organization advisory committees. EI local academic achievement. FDE local admissions school safety transfers. FFAC local wellness and health services medical treatment. Is there anything further, Mr. Bennett?
No, ma'am.
Trustees, you have any questions or concerns regarding any of the local policies under this TASB-initiated update number 125? If not, do we have a motion to adopt TASB-initiated policy update 125 local policies as identified and presented tonight?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Rector to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mullinax. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Next item, consider and approve new fiduciary bank account to establish a new employee health reimbursement self-funded plan to be managed by third-party benefits administrator. Our benefits administrator is First Financial Group of America. Ms. Chapa, you want to, we've heard about it in our budget discussions, but this is a good news item for us, and so I'll let Ms. Chapa do the overview.
This was requested by First Financial Group that we open up a new bank account. It's to establish a self-funded reimbursement plan for health insurance, the $200 per employee. The authorized signatures would be the same, Mr. Mullinax, Mr. Bennett, myself, to be able to manage the account, the checking account for the third-party administrator
Where would this be?
within our funds. The checking
What ba-
account.
What bank?
The same bank that we have, our depository.
Prosperity?
Prosperity.
Yeah. Good deal.
So this, the request was by the vendor to do a separate account. However, this particular type of health reimbursement account is for every district employee, even if they're not under the district health plan. And to be able to get reimbursed for their portion or out-of-pocket expenses. And so this is something that came out of the board wanting to look at when we were doing our deliberations on the compensation plan and salaries and overall benefits. What else could we do for our employees? So yes, the request came from the vendor of how to implement it and how to set it up. But this is something that for our viewing audience and listening audience to know that this is something that came out of our deliberations this summer in trying to do something more for our employees. We appreciate finally receiving funds for teachers from the state and some amount for staff, but we will continue to look for ways to enhance our programs within our means and to be able to provide whatever relief we can for our employees. And so this is a first for us. This is a start for us. And so we're now at the implementation portion. Are there any questions, trustees? I was just double checking with Mr. Molinex. He is not going to vote when we're ready for that. He did not vote on other items, but where he is listed as a participant or involved party. And so to have more than one person as for signatures on the account, again, we have Ms. Chapa, our finance director, Mr. Bennett, our interim superintendent, and we have Mr. Molinex as the board vice president. So he will not be voting on the record for this. Again, any questions or comments or concerns from you trustees? Do we have a motion to approve the new fiduciary bank account to establish a new employee health reimbursement self-funded plan to be managed by a third-party benefits administrator, First Financial Group of America?
So move.
Motion by Mrs. Hill. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. That vote was approved by 5 members, with Mr. Molinex abstaining from the vote. Our next item, consider and approve a resolution declaring the district's intent to incorporate disaster pennies in adopting its 2025 tax rate, to order a voter approval tax ratification election, and to forego conducting an efficiency audit pursuant to the authority of the Texas Tax Code and Texas Education Code. This is the required agenda item language per our district attorney as we consider the VATRE or Vader election. Ms. Chapa.
Yes. It also includes the disaster recovery tax relief if a Vader is not passed, where we can sustain funding for the 25-26 school year, only for that school year. And also, due to the declared disaster area, the district may waive the efficiency study required prior to conducting a VATR election. Efficiency study is required. It's about 10 years of data. Same thing that we have on our audits, financial audits that we have publicly included on our website to our taxpayers. We are allowed to waive the efficiency study under being declared a disaster area. This is included in the resolution. And it's just stating our intent to call for a VATR election August 18th, 2025. And again, this was drafted by our district attorney.
Okay. And again, the VATRE or Vader election is different than a bond election. The proposed Vader election would be in November 2025, where the voters will be asked to allow the school district to include their, and this is separate from the disaster relief. Although this motion incorporates both so that we can, if the Vader election is unsuccessful in November, then we would move on to the disaster relief program. Correct, Ms. Chapa?
Correct.
Okay. So, trustees, you have the disaster penny resolution and forego of efficiency audit attachment as well. Are there any questions?
I've got one on the deal where it's got the board of trustee proposed a tax rate adopted at 25 rate of, and it's got blank, before we vote on that, should we not fill that in? And have the rates we're gonna, and a rate composed of blank for maintenance and operations and blank for interest and sinking effort, tax effort. So, there's no rates in there.
I don't think we can do that till we approve the budget next week.
I know. That's not a question. We're approving a blank document there with blanks in it that we don't know what the blank's gonna be.
Let me,
I believe there's 3 cents, 3 pennies available. We've had discussion and we're educated more about utilizing or requesting voters for the 3 cents. There's 3 pennies or 3 cents available. So we would need to specify, is it 1, is it 2, or 3, I believe.
give me a minute. The
Okay.
total tax rate, it was in Mr. Traylor's presentation. The total
Yes.
tax rate. Total tax rate is 0.8088. This rate is composed of 0.6669 for the maintenance and operations and 0.1419 on the INS. Let me correct that. It's 0.8088.
It's the total.
Okay, on the maintenance and operation, it's 0.6969. And on the interest and sinking, it's 0.1119.
So for clarification, the resolution, when it talks about these, the total tax rate and the rate for maintenance and operations and the rate for interest and sinking tax, the resolution refers to it as, whereas the Aransas Pass ISD Board of Trustees proposes to adopt.
We're not adopting.
We're not adopting, just for that clarification. Yes, so we're proposing, that's what the resolution is stating, that we're proposing to adopt a 2025 tax rate of
0.8088.
0.8088
The rate is
as the total tax rate, composed of 0.6969 for maintenance and operations and 0.1119 for interest and seeking tax efforts. Thank you. Any other questions? Concerns? So again, this item is in consideration of a voter approval tax ratification election, commonly referred to as VATRE or VATRE. and conducting of an efficiency audit, as Ms. Chop explained, because we have our publicized financial audit available to taxpayers on the district's website. That would capture comparable data for the 10 years. And the resolution also expresses the district's intent to incorporate disaster pennies in adopting its 2025 tax rate. So we're covering all three of those in one resolution. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve a resolution declaring the district's intent to incorporate disaster pennies in adopting its 2025 tax rate, to order a voter approval tax ratification election, and to forego conducting an efficiency audit pursuant to the authority of the Texas Tax Code and Texas Education Code?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Stansberry to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Molinax. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Before we move on, I just want to thank Ms. Champa and her team and Mr. Bennett. I know that this is something that's been that the district has been looking at as we are in a position to do so. We may have not been in a position before, but we are now. And this, and I know also Ms. Chapa assisted Dr. Barnes when he was here, because this is something that the school district, in continuing to look and find ways we can maximize our resources under, financial constraints that all districts are facing. We don't have the same type of revenue that other school districts do, but this is an opportunity that we can do so here, and so we are moving forward in the best interest of the school district and our kids and our employees in the operations to maintaining our school district and resources. So thank you again. Our next item is to consider and approve an agreement for the purchase of attendance credit Option 3 agreement, and to delegate contractual authority to the interim superintendent. Ms. Chop, if you will take us through this one.
Yes, this is standard language given to us through TEA, as well as standard language for a recommended motion if it is considered. What this notice does is it notifies us that we are now considered a Chapter 48. Or you've heard it also as a Chapter 41 rich school district. And the reason for that is how Dusty also mentioned, Dusty Traylor, in his presentation. Back in 2015, our property values were at $720 million. Now we're at $1,212,000,000. As our property values are increasing and our enrollment is decreasing, through the calculations, we are considered a Chapter 48. However, we are not a recaptured district yet. If you look at the schedules also included in this presentation, at the end of that sheet across, if you read it across around this pass, it says 0 for recapture. What TA is allowing us to do is, if we ever have to pay recapture funding, we are allowed to retain some of the fundings through either 5 options. Either we could consolidate with another school district, detach of territory as provided by subchapter C. Number 3, purchase of average daily attendance credit as provided by subchapter D. Number 4, education of non-resident students as provided by subchapter E. Or option 5, tax-based consolidated with another district as provided by subchapter F. TEA is recommending to us option 3, and how this works is school districts get funded for 75,600 minutes. Aransas Pass number of school minutes is 79,980. That's equivalent to 172 days. So what TEA allows us to do is that we're able to buy the additional minutes, the additional ADA, so we could retain some of the recapture monies if we ever become a recapture district. This is a year-to-year agreement that we must submit to TEA. So for now, we're looking at option 3 as recommended by TEA. The agreement has been included for your review in the attachments. And again, this will be visited year after year. For now, we are not a recapture district. If there's any questions?
So trustees, we are in the category for recaptured districts, but we are not at that point where we're having to pay money to the state. So the recapturing is not activate. We're in the category, but recapturing dollars from our district is not active. Okay.
And also TEA has included language, if considered, of the motion to be passed.
Okay. Trustees, do you have questions on any of the attachments on this subject matter?
So we're rich, but not rich.
We're in the rich category, but
Can't use that-
according to their definition.
Can't use the excuse for a poor district anymore.
The motion language for consideration on action on this item, Ms. Chapa.
The recommended motion is for the 2025-26 school year.
There it is. I found it. It was on the next page. Okay. Trustees, any other questions or concerns, comments? Anything further, Ms. Chapa?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So at this time, if there's nothing further, do we have a motion for the 2025-2026 school year? We delegated contractual authority to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code, or TEC, 11.1511C4 to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.006. This included approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit, the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit netting Chapter 48 funding, or the agreement for purchase of attendance credit and netting Chapter 48 funding. Do we have approval?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Rector for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hill. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. And now our next item is to consider and approve a request to prepare a resolution to set the INS debt tax rate to include defeasance payment. So we've heard some of this tonight through our budget presentation and our financial advisors presentation, and now we have an action item for consideration. Ms. Champa?
Yes, this is a request for permission to move forward in preparing a resolution that would require the board's approval on August 18th, prior to setting the INS tax rate of the 2025 school year, to include a defeasance payment. This is what is being requested for consideration.
And trustees, likewise, there's the attachment in your board book as well.
This request, we've been doing it for the past 3-4 years.
So we need to act on this in order to include it in our special call meeting of August 18th and the regarding the budget and public hearing. Any questions, trustees? Do we have a motion to approve the request to prepare a resolution to set the INS debt tax rate to include defeasance payment as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Hill. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Molinax. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Next item, consider and approve resolution to add representation to the Aransas County Appraisal District Board. Trustees, we had this as an informational item last month, and just to remind you what this is, the Aransas County Appraisal District has a resolution that they presented to all of their taxing entities that defines the makeup of the board. The draft resolution is in your board book. If someone has an interest in, or if you feel that Aransas Pass at this time should be added as one of the representative seats on their board of directors, then we would need to revise the resolution. You know, again, we're in a unique position that our school district is within 3 counties. We currently do not have anyone serving on Oasis County Appraisal District Board of Directors or the San Patricio County Appraisal District Board of Directors, but we have an opportunity to do so with Aransas County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Are there any thoughts or questions? Somebody want to serve in this capacity?
Not it.
And as it's stipulated there that this would be something that would be as a taxing entity for Aransas County Appraisal District, and we would continue to receive this opportunity. So if down the road we wanted to have representation on the board of directors, I mean, it not only includes school districts, but also municipalities, for Rockport and Fulton, the city of Aransas Pass, and the city of Port Aransas. And if we choose not to do so tonight, then if the board so chooses, by motion, we could formalize this draft with the existing language and inserting our entity name as applicable. But in the resolution, you see the current structure proposed by Aransas County Appraisal District, number of board members, designated seats, term of appointment. We are named as an additional taxing entity, timing of appointment, failure to appoint, chairman selection, rules and procedures, revocation, and compliance with state law, the Texas Tax Code, and other applicable laws. So again, the appraisal district has asked all of its taxing entities to consider and take action on this, on the draft resolution template that they have provided. If no one wants to serve, does anyone think that we should be seated? Would you like to request for APISD to be added as a member of the board of directors? If not, then we can consider acting on the resolution as is, but including our name at the, as appropriate where you see.
I move that we approve the resolution without representation for the Aransas County Appraisal District Board.
We have a motion by Mrs. Hill to to approve to approve as is without an additional board seat for APISD. Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. We're now at the portion of our meeting where we will convene an executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act. Section 551.072, real property. Section 551.074, personnel, resignations, new hires. Section 551.076, security devices. Review good cause exception to armed security officer requirement. And Section 551.089, deliberation regarding security devices or security audits. The time now is 8:34 p.m. Our regular open session is closed and we will convene an executive session. The time now is 9:31 p.m. We have closed our executive session and returned to open session to reconvene and act on any items requiring action from the closed session. At this time, do we have a motion to accept the resignations as presented this evening?
So move.
Motion by Mrs. Hill. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. The motion carries. Anything further, Mr. Bennett?
No, ma'am.
Trustees?
Nope.
With no further business before this board this evening, the time now is 9:32 p.m. We are now adjourned.